We have said that superficial time does not traverse any distance in original time, and that the perceptual time always advances on the original time. Now, we will explain, by benefiting the value of this knowledge, what it means in the evolution of beings, by elaborating on the jog-trot development of a man who lives in superficial time comprehension, and on the evolution of a being who advances in original time, and the emergence of their results in the developmental mechanism. Even though the knowledge given above about time and space explains superficial and the perceptual times and spaces in detail, further explanations are needed to extract the solutions of the problems we have just mentioned from this knowledge. If the diagrams below are studied carefully, it would be possible to understand this significant point with ease. In the whole life of humanity, there is a field of development that a being has to go through, with all its endless aspects. And this field of development is determined and limited. For it has a beginning and an ending within its reality. We show this field by the distance between the parallel lines A and B in Figure 5. Here, this field of development, which is the imperative of the superficial time comprehension, has a beginning point and an ending point. Let the beginning be the line C, D, in the zone between the parallel lines A, B, and the ending be the line G, F, which crosses the point E, as in Figure 6. So, all capabilities and states of the humanity, which needs to be developed for mankind to prepare to the higher plan, that is, to the plan of duty where perceptual time prevails, and which begins at the border C, D, and is completed at the border F, G, fills the zone C, D, G, F. This indicates the whole stage of the world life, which passes through from the first life the man started in the world, and after innumerable embodiments, to the last life when he completes the world. The line Z here is the original time. And the point E is a given moment in this time. Therefore, this given moment in the original time contains the total of the all-preparatory capabilities of a man, which are needed to be developed and matured throughout the whole life of humanity. The preparation of a man throughout the whole stage of humanity in the world will mature at this moment on the flow of the original time. Naturally, the surface C, D, G, F should be imagined in the mind's eye as vertical to the line Z, and as traversing that line only at the point E. This point, E, is a point at a certain moment of the original time where the human being begins his development and will reach again, after maturing his inherent powers which need to be developed. That is, the evolution of the being in the state of human being starts from this point on the original time and ends, again at this point. And until this stage is completed, there is no advancement on the original time. Because of this, we had termed the evolution in the stage of humanity as the subjective evolutionary cycle. For, unless the field C, D, G, F, which constitutes the developmental stage of the whole mankind is traversed, the point E has no flow on the original time Z. Here, mankind is withdrawn to its own powers, and only preoccupied with their preparation for a higher plan. For mankind to be capable of going out of this field and of entering an objective evolutionary principle, is possible only by fulfilling all necessities of the stage C, D, G, F. Thus, from the beginning to the end, many embodiments, uncountable life circumstances and evolutionary materials that mankind will go through, will occur and end within this field, C, D, G, F. However, in the meantime, this field will be gradually filled, starting from the border, C, D, which is the furthest from the point, E, and constitutes the most primitive stages of humanity, up to the border, G, F. This filling will occur through various embodiments. By accepting each embodiment as a symbolically expressed triangle, we will explain how this field is filled with triangles, and how a man comes from the backward stages to the border, G, F, which is his last stage, as shown in Figure 7. The base of the triangle on the parallel, A, B, will cover this field, by starting first from the line, C, D, and getting closer to the point, E, that is, to its tip. And this will occur through periodical addition of other triangles whose tips are always at the point, E. Each of these triangles expresses a single life in its embodiment. So, the line, C, D, by advancing on the parallel, A, B, cycle by cycle in each embodiment, will converge on the line, G, F, and eventually the line, C, D, will adapt on the line, G, F. The meaning of this is, a man has developed all his capabilities which need to be developed belonging to the stage of humanity, and by completing all his preparations, he has reached a state to advance on the original time, starting from the point, E. Let us elaborate on this knowledge with a diagram. Now that, the whole life of mankind occurs at the point, E, which is a moment of the flow of the original time, then all life cycles of man, that is, his births and deaths will occur at this point. However, there are imperatives which depend on this point, on the necessities of that moment, and which fills the field of development of the stage of mankind, and they are the aspects of mankind, which are needed to be prepared for mankind to be able to make advances on the original time, starting from the point, E. And it is shown symbolically with the field, C, D, G, F. This field has near or far imperatives in respect to the moment, E. The coarsest, most primitive states of these imperatives are the far-flung border, C, D, from the point, E, which is the ending of the development. As this border gets closer to the point, E, the field narrows, the preparations mature, and the necessities of the point, E, are fulfilled. That is, the state of completion of the required deeds for the man to begin to move advances starting from the point, E. Eventually, when the line, C, D, exactly overlaps with the line, G, F, that is, the line which is supposed to be the base of the last triangle adapts on the point, E, on the original time, all necessities are rendered, and the field is thoroughly traversed and cleared. Thus, in this diagram which we show as the graph of the life of humanity, we explain how the line, C, D, shifts on the parallel, A, B, and converges on the line, G, F, with the each flow of the life of humanity by cycles, lifetimes, stages or leaps, which are all same, and consequently, how the necessities of the stage of humanity are fulfilled. First of all, let us draw the diagram of the first man of the world. This man is a being whose capabilities and talents are in a most primitive state. Therefore, his states which need to be developed will be found at the furthest place, which is the border, C, D, from the line, G, F, which is the ideal point of the field of development. This man is still preoccupied with developing initial mankind capabilities. Therefore, his life will begin from the line, C, D. In order to complete the diagram, let us join the point, C, and D, with the point, E, by drawing lines. The resulting, C, D, E, triangle is the graph of the first embodiment of the first simple human. Now, let us move to the second life of this man, Figure 8. Its line of development will start on the parallel, A, B, at the side of E, of the line, C, D, and from the points which are closest to this line. In order to make it more obvious in the diagram, we show these points by distancing them, with the line, I, J. In this way, as the graph of the second life, the triangle, I, J, E, occurs. As the bases of the triangles which will occur in the third, fifth, 10th, 50th etc. lives of the man gradually converge on the line, F, G, and eventually reach the points, K, L. Then, the parts, C, D, L, K, of the field, C, D, G, F, have been completely lived. The preparations at these sections have been completed, but the fields K, E, F, and L, G, E have not been completed yet. And finally, pertaining to the stage of humanity, in this case, the base of the triangle completely adapts to the line F, G, and the lives of the man in the world are finished. Such a moment comes that all necessities of the point E, for this man on the flow of the original time belonging to humanity, are realized, that is, that being develops all his capabilities and completes the preparations. If studied carefully, in this diagram, the line C, D, which is the initial primitive border of development at the field C, D, G, F, which shows the whole stage of development of humanity, shifts on the parallel A, B, and as it shifts, the parts of this field which have been lived and completed their development grow, and the parts which still have not developed reduce. And finally, when the development in the whole field is completed, the line C, D, which is the beginning border of the field, adapts to the line F, G, which is on the original time point at the border of the last stage. And in this way, all necessities belonging to the stage of humanity of the point E, which is a moment of the original time, are realized. When the development of mankind reaches this point, the realities of superficial time comprehension will end. True evolution will continue on the higher plans of duty, which are the perceptual space. And human beings will get free of the subjective evolutionary process, and enter into an objective evolutionary flow advancing on original time. We state some significant points, which can easily be understood by the diagram of superficial time development. In superficial time development, the developmental parallel does not change throughout the stage of humanity. This stage is a field of development belonging to the preparation of the being, which is limited with the necessities of the point E, which is a moment in the flow of time. Therefore, it is a subjective evolutionary stage. Each cycle of embodiment in this field is added upon another like a series of leaps. However, these leaps cannot violate the developmental parallel at any point at all. Let us express this according to the diagram. Each newcomer triangle adds on to the previous triangle, and accrues some amount of preparations that need to be completed in the field of development, into the previous one. In that case, there are no interruptions in the development. Cycles silently add on each other. So, on the original time, whereas the withdrawal of a man into his cadre of preparation, and his preoccupation with his own preparations throughout the whole of humanity expresses his subjective evolution, so the great number of embodiment states, which are aimed only at the completion of the stage of humanity, entail the taking all of these bodily lives as a single life in total. That is, embodiments of a developmental cycle, which to occur throughout the whole of humanity, are actually nothing but the imperatives of a single life. And this imperative is to fulfill the necessities of the point E, which is a moment in original time.